Welcome back to the Crochet Piece community. So today we are talking about crocheting in the round. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you crochet in the round, in the front and then in the back. So you can start this off with either a magic ring, which some of us love, some of us don't. And I want to show you another little trick about doing the magic ring, and then I'll show you how to do it without the magic ring. Okay, so if you're going to do it the magic ring version, we're going to do nine single crochets into the insertion point, the center of the magic ring. Or if you're doing double crochets, you could do the same thing, or half double crochets. Yeah, so let's make our magic ring simple. We're going to take the end of the yarn and bring it to the front of our two fingers, our pointer finger and our middle finger, and just bring it right here on the palm side, wrapping it around and then just crossing it over like this. And you can just kind of let it hang loose. Right? You can just kind of let it hang loose over there. And we're going to take the crochet hook with the mouth of the crochet hook facing down and tuck it underneath that loop. Grab a hold of that second loop and pull it through like so. Then twist it up like that. Okay? Now, the goal is to make a chain here, which you could do right now by going ahead and grabbing this piece and pulling it through like so. And there you have it. You're just going to pull to make it a little tighter, pull the working end of yarn to make it a little tighter. And then there you have it, right? Your tail's a little short. You can make it longer. My tail's a little short, yeah. So, and then you would go ahead and start doing your single crochets right in the center. Remember that you're always going to be working around these two pieces, okay? So you can go ahead and start with your 9 single crochets if you got that and you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, go ahead and just keep doing your 9. Make sure you're doing it around these two pieces of string, and then you can go ahead and pull it kind of taut, like if it gets to be like you're running out of space here. Okay, so that's the one way to go ahead and do that magic ring. The second way to do that same type of magic ring, make sure you have enough tail and then enough, you know, that it's not too tight, right? So you're going to go ahead and wrap this around. So we keep this tail end out in front on the palm side. Take this working end, wrap it around those two fingers, and then just let it hang over there to the side. Make sure that it's kind of like really off to the side. Okay. And then you're going to go ahead and tuck your crochet hook, mouth of the hook facing down, underneath that first loop. And then grab a hold of that second loop. When you grab a hold of that second loop, you're just going to pull it under, and then make sure you twist your crochet hook upward. Okay. Then you can actually stop right here. Take your fingers out, hold on to right here. So put your thumb right there and hold on to the other piece with the back with that pointer finger like that. So now you have like some security, okay? And you can kind of like just like fold it together like this, you know? So now you have that, okay? And you can just hold on to it. And then you can just focus on making a chain here. Okay, so here with the chain, you can wrap your crochet hook around it like that from the front, under, and then twist it down, and then pull it through. Okay, that may be a little bit easier for you to navigate that magic ring. All right. If you don't want to do the magic ring at all, you're going to do some chains. So you can go ahead and do 5 chains. I really feel like the number of chains that you need to do is according to how big your crochet hook is, right? And how big your yarn is, because you need to be able to go inside of the hole the number of times that you're for your first round, which we're doing 9. So I'm going to say that we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's stick to 4. Let's do 4 chains. And then we're just going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the very first chain. Not this knot. This knot is your slip knot, right? You're going to join to that first chain with an insert. And then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through everything. Pull this one through and that through. That's a slip stitch, right? You want to keep that hole open right there. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 after that. And then we're going to do 9 single crochets into this center space. You can crochet around that tail if you want. It's fine. So whether or not if you did the slip knot version, you're going to still be doing 9. Okay, and we'll work all the way around. If you're doing the slip knot version, when you're done doing the slip knot version, you're going to need to pull the tail of the slip knot so that it closes that hole. And as you can see, here's my thing, and it's, you know, kind of tight. Another way that we kind of get out of this being kind of tight like this as you continue to work around is that we kind of leave the slip knot undone. You could do that too. And then that way you can pull on it later on so that it kind of closes. So that's an option. I'll show you what I mean. It's a little tricky to do, but you see how that's a slip knot? I would just go ahead and pull this out of there so that it's not a knot. So I'm pulling that tail right on out of there. Okay, so that later on I'll be able to pull and make this tighter somehow. Okay, that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. Okay, whichever way you decide, we're doing 9 in the center. Okay, 9 in the center. There's all sorts of ways to close that hole if your hole gets too big. You know, as you're putting those 9 in. So some things that you want to remember about doing this magic circle is stitch marker might just be your friend. I know, I'm always preaching about the stitch marker, but it works. Okay, so see, here, how many do we have here? Because now sometimes it gets difficult to see where you started. But I'm going to say this is here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I need to do 1 more for my 9. And as you can see, my hole is not that big, but I can kind of pull it a little bit because I pulled out that slip knot. Yeah, little tricky poo. Okay, so there we have it. So this is our first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I have my 9, and like I said, placing a stitch marker right there might be very helpful. This is the first one. And this is where I'm going to go into, okay? Now, I know now that I'm there. So we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch right into that insertion point, into the very first single crochet. Mine is a little tight, so I'm going to have to wiggle like so. Insert, yarn over, and we're going to just pull everything underneath that yarn over off. So pulling off the second one, the insertion point, and pulling off the last one. Okay, that's our slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 1, and that finishes off row number 1. Row number 1, 9 single crochets. Our first insertion point for row number 2 is the same place where we placed our slip stitch. So not here, right here in this really tiny spot. Okay, that's where we place our very first, that's where our row number 2 begins. So row number 2 consists of 2 single crochets all the way around in each one. This is a complete increase round. And so little trick about doing crocheting in the round is that you always want to increase by the number that you start with each round. Okay, so that's why here we're doubling up in every one, because we're increasing in every one, okay, by 9. So at the end of this round we should have 18. That's a good thing too, is to count your stitches. I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker in the very first stitch so that I know where I am coming around. Okay, so 2 single crochets in each stitch around. And also every round we're going to end with a repeat. So you'll end with 2. So if you get to the round and you don't have 2, then you know that something needs to be revisited. Okay? Okay, now this is a little tricky, right? Because you would think this looks like I'm supposed to go in here. And if you're not sure where your last stitches should go, what can help you is, you guessed it, counting. Okay, so let's count to see if we have 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We do have 18. So what does that mean? We're done. That's what that means. And this piece right here, we don't go into. And that's where a lot of times we could make some mistakes. Okay, so precautionaries, counting your stitches, having your stitch marker in place. The stitch marker goes underneath the V. And so now that we know I have my 18, remembering that row number 2 is a complete increase round. We're always increasing by the number of stitches that we started with. We're going to go ahead and do a slip knot into where we had our stitch marker. So going ahead and inserting it right underneath there, and then yarning over and pulling off the second one, and then pulling off the last one as well. And good. So you want to make sure that you remember where you just did your slip stitch, because that is also the starting place of the next round. Okay, so round number 2 is complete. We're going on to round number 3. So remember that I said that we increase by the number of stitches that we started with every round, right? So that means 18 plus 9 is our next round, is 27. So at the end of this round, we should have a total of 27 stitches. Now, if you started out your round with more than 9, then whatever that number is the number that you should be increasing by each round, okay? So this part is a little bit tricky at first to understand how the increases work, but I have a little bit of a technique or a system that helps me to remember, and I'm going to share that with you. So we did our slip stitch, and then now we're going to do a chain 1 to start the round. Okay, every round Every round ends with a slip stitch. Every round starts with a chain 1. Okay? And so to begin, we remember with this round, we increase by 9, right? So remember in the last one, we did 2 single crochets in every stitch around. So now we're only going to be doing 2 single crochets in every other stitch around. So we start out with 1 single crochet in the same place that we did our slip stitch, our starting insertion point. So we're going to do 1 single crochet right there. And again, I recommend that you go ahead and put your stitch marker in that first single crochet that you do. Okay, underneath the V, like so. Doesn't have to be directly underneath the V, as long as you know that's where you are going to begin your first stitch next time. So we do 1 and then 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So every other stitch gets a increase. Okay, so we just did 1. Now the next one we're going to do 2. Okay, and you're going to repeat that. So how I like to remember this is we're going in the second, so 1, and then the next one, 2. So every second stitch, if you will, gets the increase. And I remember that because we're on the second row. We're working on top of the second row. We're actually on the third row. Saying it out loud sounds a little tricky. In my head, it makes sense, okay? So every second stitch, so first stitch, second stitch is going to get the increase. What is an increase? 2 single crochets in the same insertion point. So here's my next insertion point. Number 1. Number 2 is going to get 2 of them in there. If you guessed that, then you're right. So again, like I said, you know, it's a little, actually, once you start doing it a few times, you get the repetition. You start to understand it. And then there's pen and paper. So sometimes I just like to write it down, you know, until you master memorizing the concept. But ultimately, you want to do every other stitch this round gets an increase. And then to make sure that you did it accurately, you're just going to go ahead and count your stitches at the end to make sure that you did it right. And you should have a total of 27, because remember, every round we're increasing by the number that we started with. So I'm going to stop here because I do know this is my last stitch. There's room to go in there, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So that's correct. I should have 27 stitches. All right. Perfect. Okay. So now that I have my 27 stitches, I'm going to end this round with a slip stitch where my stitch marker is. So I'm going to go ahead and insert it right underneath that V. Yarn over and take off everything underneath the yarn over. Take off the insertion point and take off the loop that was on the hook already. Okay, and that's my slip stitch. After your slip stitch, you're going to go ahead and do a chain 1, and we just completed round number 3. Okay, Now we're going to go into round number 4. Round number 4, we increase every other. So we increase in every third stitch. And again, how I remember this is because we're working on top of the third row. Okay, so what does that mean? I'll show you. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, remembering that this is where I'm also starting at. Remember, we do our first single crochet in the same place that we did our slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 1, 2. See how that's the third one? 1, 1, 2. Okay, so we increase every third stitch because we're working on top of the third row. All right, so 1 single crochet, definitely putting my stitch marker back there. Another one that just gets 1 single crochet, so 1, 1, and then 2. 2 is the increase. Okay, perfect. Now I'm doing it again. 1, 1, and then 2. So every third one gets an increase this round. 1, 1, and then 2. Why does every third one get an increase? Because we're working on the third round, on top of the third round. We're actually working on the 4th round, but we're working on top of the 3rd round. Okay, or into the 3rd round. Okay, so 1, 1, 2. And this goes on until you get to the point where your circle is as large as you want it. Once your circle is as large as you want it to be, then you stop increasing. 1, 1, 2. You stop increasing and you just do rounds of no increase. What happens then is it will start to curve. That's how you make your hats. That's how you make your amigurumis. 1, 1, 2. Another way to check this out, you guessed it, is counting. So at the end of this round, because we're increasing by 9, we should have a total of 36, right? So 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, right? We should have 36 single crochets at the end of this round. All right, and that's it, you know, for this process. You do that every time. So the next round, well, let me finish with this one, right? Let's stay present. Okay, next one. 1, 1, 2. The next one, 1, 1, and then 2. And the next one, 1, 1, and then 2. And this is my last one. Okay, and I know we've got that one there that looks so inviting to go in there, but it's not. one that we want to go into. And how do we know that? Well, we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36, which is correct. So we should have 36, and we do. Okay, so remember, we'll keep doing that for as long as we want to continue to make our circle kind of big. And yes, to answer your question, it does come, you see mine kind of wobbles a little bit. You can kind of, you know, stretch it to flatten it out as you go along. Make sure your stitches are not too tight. That can help with that. So we're ending round number 4, right? And so here's our where our end goes. Our slip stitch goes right into where that stitch marker is. And then we chain 1, right? And we're going to start our row same place where that stitch marker is. So now this is row number 4 complete. Since we're working on top of row number 4, the next row, the increase is every 4th stitch, right? So we'll do 1, 1, 1, 2, right? So we'll do 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay? And at the end of that, we should have 45 stitches because we're increasing by 9. All right? So that's it for that. And that's how you get your crocheting in the round and keep going around. Remember, when you're ready to stop crocheting in the round, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so I just completed round number 5, working on top or into round number 4. And remember, so that was 1, 1, 1 increase. So every 4th stitch I increased because I was working into round number 4. So round number 5 is complete. Yes, my piece is a little wobbly. A few things contribute to that. So if you're experiencing that, don't worry. It should stretch itself out as you do the non-increase round. That happens a lot of times because either my yarn, I'm crocheting too tight, or the type of yarn that I'm using to flatten, to work it out. You can kind of stretch the yarn and then just continue to flatten it out as you go along, okay? Yarn is very forgiving. It'll work itself out. All right, so completed round number 5. Round number 6, I'm going to close off round number 4 by doing a slip stitch. What? I'm closing off round number 5. You heard me right the first time. And then I'm going to chain 1. Okay. So round number 5 is complete. And now, since I'm going to be working on top of round number 5, if I was to do an increase round, what would I do? I would increase every 5th stitch, right? So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 increase. So 1, 1, 1, 1 increase. And that would be the case for each round. You would consistently follow that pattern. So for the next round, which would be round number 7, I would increase every 6th stitch. Round number 8, I would increase every 7th stitch, and so on. Okay, so I'm done with the increase component just because I want to show you how this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to go ahead and insert and do a single crochet in that one. If you want, you can always put your stitch marker back in there. I encourage you to do that. I know it's a tedious little detail, but sometimes it really saves you. So we're going to just do 1 single crochet in each one around. That means that we should have a total of 45 stitches, because round number I ended my last round with round number 5, right? I ended that with 45. Okay, And I mean, it's pretty easy math, right? Since 9 times 5 is 45, and I started out my piece with 9 stitches, and I was on round number 5, right? And each round each increase round, we're increasing by the number that we started with. So yeah, the math is mathing. Now, again, this is a non-increase round, so I am just doing 1 single crochet in each of them. All right, so like I said, it will kind of work itself out. You guys know how to do single crochet. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all the way around here so that I can show you. Once you stop increasing, every round is going to be just 1 single crochet in each one, and that's what causes the circle to kind of curve in for hats, for amigurumi. So like if you're making doll arms or teddy bear arms, you want to kind of make like a cone, not a cone, a cylinder rather. And so you stop at the point where your circle is large enough for the shape size that you're making. So arms and legs obviously would be different stopping points than the body or the head. So yeah. Okay. So I'm getting there to the end. You know, I'm going kind of fast. Piece is still kind of a little wobbly. Again, I attribute that to my yarn, and I'm crocheting kind of tight. Ultimately, it should kind of stay flat. But once you really work a few of these rounds, it won't matter. And then if you're doing this for amigurumi, you're going to stuff the piece, so it won't matter anyway. All right, so I'm there. I'm at my end, remembering that this one right here, it doesn't count. So I just got used to looking at it. I got used to knowing that my insertion point is here, and right before my insertion point, I usually have 2 V's that are kind of just hanging out. So I know that I'm going to stop here. It's really a good practice to get used to looking at your work so that you can identify patterns and sequences that repeat themselves. Okay, so that's my circle, and now it's really gonna start to kind of come into a more like a cylindery shape. It's gonna like curve in every time I do my round. So I will be doing a video on amigurumi later on, and I'll show you that. But if you're making a hat or something that is cause it to curve in, go ahead and just keep going around. You could make a cup holder, you know, like this, that goes underneath the cup, kind of like a cup cozy, you know. So you just make sure that this piece is this right dimension for the cup to sit inside. Play around with it, have some fun. All right, but this is what I'm looking like right now. You can see that my edges here, they're starting to curve up, and they're going to continue to do that if I do just 1 stitch around. And that's it, guys, for crocheting in a round. Happy crocheting.